Now, when it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, well, now, if you're ready to see how Drake just got exposed for not just having a failing tour that people don't want to be at, but for having a series of concerts where he is getting on stage every night and he is straight up scamming his fans so bad that he doesn't even know his own lyrics, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And now, really, as Kendrick Lamar also just managed to level up on his tour at the same time as the Iceman turned from the Trash Man now to the Scam Man, make sure to stick around for this one because you're not going to want to miss what's about to happen next with the biggest winner in hip-hop and now with the biggest loser in hip-hop. What I will say before we jump into this is now, as the Drake fans don't want you to hear stories like this, and they have been more annoying than ever, as they'd rather just sit there and pretend that the knockoff version of One Dance that Drake just released is actually a hit, and then, of course, defend their favorite 40-year-old man who has a picture with almost the entire cast of Stranger Things. Listen, what I gotta say is just make sure to leave a like before we go any further into this because the support goes a long way. And now, with that said, in this never-ending run of wins and losses from the king of rap and the Karen of it, it really does seem like now, with every new performance that is coming out from Drake and with every moment we are seeing from the Some Not Special Shows for You tour, really no matter what they are trying to convince us about with these Drake shows and the optics that they're trying to make look impressive, Drake and his team are so incompetent and uncalculated that just by showing off more clips of this thing, we are seeing how bad the OVO karaoke circus really is today. And now within this circus, over everything else we have been seeing recently, right now what has never looked like it's more true is that this is not a tour or anything like that, but really this Drake live experience is a karaoke festival to the worst degree you could have ever expected. And now really, while this was once kind of a joke, now not just are the Drake fans going to do karaoke to fill in for him and sing along with his pre-recorded vocals, but really now, between Drake actually making you do the work at the show, the speakers also doing the work, and now what has just been exposed, what we are now seeing, is that Drake is running maybe the biggest grift of all time with these things, as Drake has now exposed himself for doing karaoke himself, as now in a new video from the Some Lame Shows for You tour, when Drake was performing the third biggest song on SSS for You, which, listen, the first time I heard that album, I made a vow to never listen to it again, so all I know is that it's that Trash Trying track, which I think has Yeba on it. Well, within this, you can see this for yourself, when Drake is now running up and down the stage and making the crowd do all the work, and he's actually trying to do some sort of a vocal performance himself. Well, the only reason why it seems like he speaks more when he is on one side of the stage compared to the other is because he has a teleprompter giving him the words of what to say. And to be honest now, when you see videos of Drake during this tour and you just see how awkward he is moving in general, and you see how stiff and lame and how it kind of always looks like his face is stuck within a certain direction, well, I guess these Stranger Things are starting to make a little bit of sense, and what we are finding out is that lame old Lawbury has now been caught and exposed for literally doing karaoke at his own performances, where he is trying to come out on stage and ultimately show that he can compete with Kendrick Lamar, any rap great right now, and that he is a premier touring artist. And now really, when we go into Drake doing this, what I will say is that Drake is not even close to the only artist to ever do this, and this is even something that Lil Wayne himself has done, and as somebody who has worked in touring and has seen a lot of shows that I would have never went to otherwise, listen, for your generational artists that come into town, like your Kendrick Lamars and your Tyler the Creators, or even all-time greats, in between those types of artists, there are a lot of other lazy acts who just phone things in and read off machines, because really, and this is what you see when you go deeper into the music industry, is that ultimately a lot of these artists are not even writing or even have any sort of attachment to their songs, but they literally just become mascots who are performing something that they are reading off of pretty much. And again, this is a lot of the music industry, and it's just straight grifters who so clearly are doing the thing that they are not for passion, but because it is a job. And again, when you see somebody like Kendrick Lamar just come straight in and rap the way he does, Which again, and I will highlight this just to compare, for example, while Drake is reading off lyrics and allowing speakers and crowds to fill in for him. Well, listen, while the crowd can have fun at Kendrick Lamar, Kendrick actually designs his shows for the crowds to engage at the right points and then for him to rap at the right points. Which, of course, is why the crowd will look like this for Family Ties, but then at Man in the Garden, everybody is sitting there knowing that they are watching one of the greatest talents they will ever see just perform something that is genuinely incredible. And even when Kendrick Lamar raps and you see him sometimes change inflections or flow patterns or take a breath in a different spot or change up the words slightly, this ultimately just shows how his brain is a rap encyclopedia that ultimately, while it may not perform the verse 100% the way it was written and recorded, understands the actual sentiment and is able to improvise on the spot, which just shows how great of an MC he is. And even with other rappers I have seen that are all-time greats like Nas, Common, Earl Sweatshirt, Action Bronson, J. Cole, and just a lot of other really solid lyricists, again, when you do see real MCs, they all have this intangible which just leaves you watching them in awe. And really, when we look at touring right now, whether we look at Kendrick or Tyler the Creator, who have had the two best live experiences going on in hip-hop with the Grand National and Chromacopia tours, well listen, you can just see that these guys don't rely on any sort of gimmicks and are always so engaged because they actually know their lyrics and are invested enough in the music they make to just deliver great performances from the heart. And again, unlike Drake, this is not a job for them, this is something that is so much bigger. And really, when you just see how lazy in presentation the Drake shows are, and then see with Kendrick and Tyler, from the set design, to the effects, to the presentation, to the storytelling, to the videos, and everything else, which is all A1. Well again, when you look in with this and see Kendrick and Tyler's shows literally functioning like a Broadway play in terms of how many aspects are going on right alongside with the music, well, when you compare this, which is the gold standard in rap, to Drake, who was using a lyric machine for a song that he released in February, once again, we are seeing why some rappers are in great places and why others are doing some stranger things. And now really, when you just see this and understand that no matter what else you want to say, this does solidify and really validate that Drake is one of the most lazy performers out there, because again, when these machines are used a lot of the time, it's for older songs that artists may have forgotten, and that's giving them the benefit of the doubt and not a song that they released in February. Listen, we shouldn't be surprised that Drake is using yet another grift to try and make these shows go on, but really what's the most baffling part about all of this is that it's showing now that in this time where everything that has been going on and Drake's back is against the wall and Kendrick Lamar has a tour that is bigger than anything he has ever done in his career, still with all of this, there wasn't a single sense of urgency or a little bit of fear to prepare for something bigger that really could have rivaled the Grand National Tour. And instead, Drake was just hoping to grift his way back into the lead circle of rap, which of course, while it has not worked, to even believe that this was going to be your way back and you could have just gotten away with the bare minimum. Once again, this is another display of how Drake's laziness just kept rap within such a bad place, as now at one point, as Drake was considered the center guy of the genre and the tours were the premier thing to see live, well, you just see why the Drake era got as bad as it did. And so now, while we are looking and laughing at this Drake tour where things are getting stranger by the second and he is forgetting lyric, people are throwing things at him, and it's really just looking like a mess, as Drake is still, of course, even canceling shows because he may have overbooked too many shows that nobody wanted to go to. Well, when you just see the mess of the Not Some Special Shows for You tour and see what Kendrick Lamar is doing, and not just already solidified, but see what he is planning to do in the near future based on what he has just released, well then when we look at what Kendrick Lamar is about to do to close out the year and close out the Grand National Tour once and for all right in Australia, where Drake canceled the Anita Max Win tour, this is really where things get funny, because now Kendrick Lamar has not just booked solo shows originally because SZA won't be on that part of the tour anymore, which in of itself also proves that this has always been Kendrick's tour for those who still want to say it hasn't. But now, without even SZA, Kendrick didn't just sell out these shows by himself with ease and then book even more shows because of how high the demand is. But now, in the matter of days, Kendrick is going to have 4 stadium shows out there, which really, if we want to get funny, is almost the amount of arena shows that Drake canceled when he was running away. But really, in addition to Kendrick having these shows, he is bringing a team with him to have a lot of fun and to close out this chapter of his career. as he is bringing some major artists, as now on some of the nights it will be none other than Schoolboy Q, which we have talked about, and there may even be something going on with Black Hippie there, but making things even bigger and showing the entire plan that TDE has, which is definitely something big. Kendrick will now also have Doechii playing with him, which has been going viral, as it's a big deal in terms of having somebody who has already shown a lot of promise as both an artist and a performer doing something so big this early on into their careers. And now really with Doechii getting ready to play stadiums with Kendrick Lamar himself, really beyond the optics of Kendrick kinda trolling Drake by booking more shows than ever in the place that Drake ran away from, and at that doing it in way bigger venues, to now see what Kendrick is doing where Doechii is gonna be alongside him, this is gonna be incredible. And I am sure for Doechii, while there has been a lot of negative discourse around her after having a great year at first, but then all these industry plan conversations arise, I do think that when Doechii stands next to Kendrick Lamar, we may even eventually see what they are doing in terms of a collaboration soon, because as Kendrick called her the hardest MC in the game. Well, overall, Kendrick is really about to show what the next rap star is going to look like. And overall, with all of this, we are in some very exciting times for rap, where Kendrick Lamar and Doechii and Schoolboy Q are all going to be on the road together. And really, Doechii is going to get that TDE stamp where everybody is going to know that she is working right alongside the best rapper in the game right now. And now really what I think is so great about this is now as Kendrick Lamar is using this tour and his platform to put on an artist like this in Doechii and really build something that is so much bigger than himself while still taking the victory lap that is showing he is the king. Well, this is huge, and this is how you build a rap dynasty. And in comparison, when you see Drake doing these karaoke nights where he can't even remember the lyrics to songs that were supposed to be the big hits from his album, I thought, well, overall this is all just getting pathetic for Karen and great for that other side in hip-hop. And really now as we are at a point where Drake's shows keep getting worse and Kendrick just keeps moving up more and more, what I think we are going to see is that this entire house of cards that Drake has been trying to convince us he built properly is going to fall down eventually, and one day we will all see the lies. And at the same time as this, as Kendrick is really getting closer to building this musical dynasty to the level that he really wants and the level it can reach. And within this, he is putting everybody on in PG Lang and TDE, and they're all working together, and clearly there is just something bigger at play here. Well, really with all of this, I think we are on the verge of another genre-shifting moment that will be all around Kendrick, Doechii, Schoolboy Q, Baby Keem when he decides to return, and all of these people. And now within this, all I will say now as Kendrick is leveling up and just trolling Drake while changing the history of live performing in rap, well listen, for anybody who ever decides to go against Kendrick Lamar again, please remember to read your lyrics before you go on tour. And so now with all of that said, let me know. What do you think about everything going on with Drake and Kendrick right now? How pathetic do you think it is that Drake does not know the lyrics to all of the songs he is performing alongside the pathetic karaoke he has already done? And what do you think about Kendrick Lamar now expanding his tour, adding Doechii to the list, and everything else going on with him? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all this. Now, if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now, if you want to see how right before this, well, listen, something big just happened as Metro Boomin was talking about how Kendrick Lamar's GNX has changed the rap landscape, and at the same time, Drake just had the worst flop he ever has. Check out the suggested video.